Welcome back to our YouTube channel. Folks, it is a great honor to host a YouTube Q&A with other DECA GOATs, the other students who have really crushed the DECA experience, who are really good at all their different components. What we'll do is I'm going to introduce our GOAT. He's going to share a couple of tips, just some teasers of things that he's experienced. Once he starts doing that, if you want to put anything into the chat, any questions at all, we'll try to keep up with all the chats, all the questions. After he's done sharing some key tips and ideas, both he and I are going to try to answer as many things as we can. Join me in welcoming tonight Rishabh Jain. Rishabh is a senior at the Downingtown STEM Academy in Pennsylvania. Rishabh is a student from my chapter, was a student in my junior economics class this past year. At ICDC this year, Rishabh placed 4th in the Entrepreneurship Series event with truly outstanding scores. As you all know, getting a 90 or above at ICDC is really a great accomplishment, and it's really something that we should all strive for at ICDC. He got a 92 on the Entrepreneurship Cluster exam, and what I was really impressed with as a chapter advisor and also as a teacher is not only did he get a 92, but he improved steadily throughout the year. From his district score to his state score, and then from states to ICDC, he kept seeing improvement, even though his district score is already really good. In addition to doing all the awesome DECA things that Rishabh does, he is the varsity captain for his high school's basketball team. He helps coach kids in his neighborhood and helping them learn basketball. He's passionate about the business aspect and the finance aspect and wants to either study business or finance when he goes off to college. In addition to all of those things, Rishabh serves as the Pennsylvania DECA District 6 representative, and he's very excited to both share his experiences this year and his senior year and help not just the folks in Pennsylvania, but folks from around the world have the same success like he had this year. So everyone, please welcome me in joining Rishabh Jain.
What's up, everyone? As Dr. Staub just introduced me, my name's Rishabh, and I have been competing in Entrepreneurship Series for the past 2 years and Entrepreneurship Team Decision-Making event my freshman year. So I've been around entrepreneurship for the past 3 years. Before I get into a few of my cluster exam tips, I just wanted to emphasize how important cluster exams actually are. And it's great that you all are here because it really gives you a leg up on the competition. So when you're at ICDC or whatever conference you're at, you're going into a role play and you might kill it, but your judge might not think the same, and that creates a subjectivity. The great thing about these cluster exams is the objectivity, and it is a grade based on your effort and how much work you put in. And Dr. Staub mentioned I play basketball. Like, we, in the off season, we do conditioning at the end of every single practice and open gym, and it sucks, but that consistency every single day is what makes us better players. It's what allows us to be better. So if you're able to put in time to practice your cluster exams every day, you're consistent, you have a routine, it's really going to take you far. And I think everyone should do their best to really master the cluster exam because it will pay dividends and help you achieve wherever you want to achieve. So 3 of the main tips I used, and I'll go through briefly, and then I can definitely expand on this later, is first, you need to take tests. The biggest thing that helped me was taking tests repeatedly and making sure I knew the content, because first, DECA reuses the same questions. So when you go to your ICDC exam, you will see questions that were on the practice test they released. But also, you should know the concepts that are within every test. And that brings me to my second point, is you should be making Quizlets and study materials for wrong questions. So I had a Quizlet that I used, and it helped me a lot. I used the beta version of Dr. Staub's ClusterMax website, which has been really helpful, and he can elaborate on that. But I've also used AI like ChatGPT, Notebook LM, and Claude to help make me questions that I can then use, because you run out of DECA questions. They only publish so much, but if you can utilize AI, it really helps a lot. And then lastly, keep up with articles related to your event. One of the things that helped me the most was just in the morning, I'd look through Wall Street Journal or something like that, look at some entrepreneurship articles, and then you're able to connect those concepts to the real world and stuff you've learned in DECA, and it really sticks. So I'd advise all of you to just, at the end of the night or in the morning, spend 5 minutes, read an article, make some connections, and it will really help you guys in the long term. So yeah, those are my 3 main tips.
If you have questions for Rishabh about the success he's had, you know, how many cluster exams has he taken? What do you do when you run out? Tell us more about some of those, how you did your note cards, how you use Quizlet. If you've got questions for Rishabh about that process, why don't you drop your questions into the chat? Rishabh and I are going to try to bounce back and forth as we do that.
The first question is, what is your test taking strategy when practicing your cluster exams and actually taking them officially? So when practicing cluster exams, so first, that's a great question. I kind of segmented mine by practicing for districts, states, and ICDC, which most people do. So for districts, I took 2 exams. I reviewed them thoroughly. So I went through the answer keys, the sources that are in the answer keys, made sure I understood every single question on those tests. Then for states and ICDC, I took all 10 tests in entrepreneurship that are available and mastered those. Make sure I had all the concepts down, all the keywords, all the terminology down. So you really need to practice that way. Understanding the wrong questions is just as important as understanding why a question's right. If there's a term in a question that even if it's wrong, you should know exactly what it means and why it's wrong. So that's a great way to study for practicing for them, and then taking them officially. Just making sure you're prepared and you're going in with confidence. Like, you want to walk into that room telling yourself you're going to get whatever score you want to get, because that is going to help you a lot. And when you have the confidence, you know your material, it's going to serve you well and you're going to do as best as you can.
Rishabh, you said a little bit about keeping track of your questions and answers. I know that you and I worked on some of that ourselves, but how were you doing that before we started working together to keep track of what you're getting right or wrong?
So I wasn't doing it very officially, so I wouldn't really recommend that. If I were you, I'd go to the sources, find what type of performance indicators you're getting wrong. But something I found that, like, when I was looking at the financial analysis questions on every test, I was confused with what a balance sheet was, or other types of financial analysis. So if you feel that you're getting repeated concepts wrong or confusing them over and over again, you should go to that performance indicator and understand what type of questions you're getting wrong, but also understand how to learn them. And that can be through asking AI to give you summaries on it, or there's a number of, you can actually search up the performance indicators online, and a number of PDFs come up that explain that. Yeah, just in terms of tracking it, try to officially understand the exact performance indicators you're getting wrong. But if you don't know them, at least know what type of topics you're getting.
If you don't have a formal way of keeping track of your work, there is a great free Discord channel called Go for Glass. If you join in with them, they have a great exam tracker. What you really want to do is not just look at the questions you get right or wrong and the specific code, but you also want to look at the DECA source. And I've spent a lot of time looking at the last 5 years of ICDC tests. A lot of the tests come from the same exact, or a lot of the questions come from the same exact sources. So it does feel like a bit of a slog. But one of the things I was able to help Rishabh with and help tracking his questions is, once you do, and Rishabh, I forget what the specific performance indicator was. Once you do, you might realize, oh, there's this one specific thing I'm missing. And DECA makes all of their questions from that one source. Knowing that helps you study that one source really well.
Funny enough, I reviewed a lot of Dr. Staub's videos. I mean, he has put out videos for years. So I went through, there's a few performance indicators that aligned with my weak areas. So I watched those. Those help a lot. Dr. Staub, I think you've also published videos of how to attack cluster exams. So those help a lot. But in terms of YouTube videos, I wouldn't say, other than that, there's much material out there.
Be honest, how soon would you start before districts? How soon did you actually dive into taking tests?
So last year districts for me was the beginning of January. So I probably jumped into practicing around early November-ish. So if your exams December 14th, I would start, or no, it might be November 14th, but I would start practicing as soon as you can. And this doesn't have to be a ton of problems. I see you asked how many problems. You can go through performance indicators, say, ChatGPT, make me a 10-question quiz, do that, master a concept. That's good for the night. But on the weekends, I would really recommend sitting down and taking a test for an hour straight, because if you're taking tests in segments, you're not really getting the full experience of actually taking the test. So on the weekend, October 14th. So yeah, it's coming up very soon, actually. So I would recommend probably the next couple weekends, sit down, take a test, and then the next day, go through all the answers you got wrong, look at the answer keys with the sources, because DECA does reuse the same sources, understand why those are wrong. And it doesn't need to be, you don't need to be doing it every single day, but it needs to be consistent, whether you're doing it weekly and understanding the problems on the weekends, or each day taking a small quiz. But I would recommend just a couple tests for them.
Derek had asked questions about ClusterMax. Derek, to be honest, the student and I who are building out that ClusterMax website have we're still sort of in the beta version. It is live, clustermax.com. It is live, and you go there and practice. What I didn't like about cluster exams was, honestly, like Rishabh said, there is no great way to sit down and study. I know that you can use AI to start generating questions, but I didn't feel like that was good enough. So what I did, and I'm working backwards from the ICDC test, I'm looking at all the sources that DECA uses for questions, and I'm building out questions to put into ClusterMax that are, yes, it's AI written, but that are written from the same sources that DECA uses. And I go through and I vet those questions before they go into ClusterMax. It doesn't mean they're all perfect, but what I like about ClusterMax is it makes it easy for you. You can do it mobile. You can do it on your web browser, on your computer. You can take 10 questions and then shut it for the day. And what it's doing in the background is it's tracking which performance indicators, which instructional areas you're getting right or wrong the most. To Rishabh's point, yes, you do want to be sitting down with tests, taking a whole test frequently. Rishabh did it like once a week on the weekends. But if you are hitting ClusterMax between classes, you know, when your teacher says you got a little extra time, you know, on the ride to school, whether you're getting dropped off, you're riding the bus, like it's just a great way to pick up extra practice that is just super easy. And you know, all those questions are coming from the same DECA sources. If you were doing PBM, which exam cluster should I be studying? The PBM, which is really great. PBM is the principals events. So you want to be taking, it's called the business core exam. What I said is great about that is an exam that if you can master that, all the other exams build off of. So studying this year for PBM is a great place to start. And then it's going to help you be successful, not just this year, but every other year moving forward. Rishabh, you also said that you use AI. So did you, what was the sort of thing that you go into Claude, or I don't know, Claude was sometimes better at putting the question sets together, but what exactly would you do when you went to Claude or ChatGPT to try to get something specific out of it?
Each area, so entrepreneurship had a number of performance indicators, which you guys probably know by now. It's what your role plays are about. So what I did was I would take the file of all the performance indicators, put into like ChatGPT or Claude, and then I'd go section by section. I'd say, hey, let's talk about this, explain, give me a rundown on, for example, the different elements of the marketing mix. So give me a rundown on the different elements of the marketing mix, when companies use it, specific companies that use it and how they use it. And then at the end, I'd plop it in DECA 100 question test. And I'd say make similar question types from what DECA has already made just on the marketing mix. That way I could ensure that it was about the certain topic I wanted to master, but it also wasn't asking me irrelevant questions that wouldn't help me for DECA.
Golden Pizza asked a really interesting question, and Rishabh and I were talking about this over the past week. How much prep should we be putting in? Is it better to go for general understanding and focus on specific areas? You probably don't want to focus in on specific areas yet, unless you are a repeat competitor in that event. So I know that Rishabh plays basketball, and I kind of made a basketball analogy. I said, you want to be good at a whole range of skills right now. You want to be good at offense and defense. You want to be good at dribbling, passing, shooting. You want to be good at everything. What you wouldn't want to do right now is only practice 3-point shots. Like only practice a very specific skill. You don't want to only practice those set plays that you know your team like you want to be good at everything right now. Once you and to do that, you have to take a ton of tests. You have to really get a sense of what DECA asks. By a ton of tests, I would take the 8 DECA exams that are on DECA.org's website. Take those and get a good sense of how you are doing. Once you get a good sense of how you're doing and you start seeing some patterns between strengths and weaknesses, that's when you want to really hone in on your weaknesses.
I competed in entrepreneurship for 2 years before I went to ICDC, and I knew the general ideas, but this was really the year where I was honing in, okay, these are specific things within those areas, and that's what you have to do. So really nail down that general understanding, because that will get you to a certain threshold, and that's where you want to be. But to move higher, yes, you're going to need to eventually focus on specific areas, but that's once you identify your weaknesses and where you need to improve.
Where do I find full-length practice exams other than from the ones on DECA websites? Hey, Rishabh, where do you find them? Because I can't really answer the question because I'm a DECA advisor. I can say DECA Plus. You can go to DECA Plus. Rishabh, how do you find your other practice exams?
You just go on DECA.org. I mean, I think they publish 3 that you can use, and then DECA Plus has maybe 5 or 6 more, something around there. And if you search it up, you will find tests that are either published from like third-party websites or DECA itself. So search up your event and then exams, and you can search up like state level because there might be better searches that come up certain years. But generally, if you just search it up, you'll find a couple PDFs.
Hey, Rishabh, why don't you talk to this a little bit? How Rishabh also has taken a bunch of Ivy level classes. How do you balance it? How often and how long do you study while taking all these other things? Like, how does that play into your other academic and athletic kind of balance?
Yeah, that's a great question. And finding the balance is definitely important. So it is tough and depends on what season your sport is. So mine is winter. So in the wintertime, it gets especially busy. But I mean, if it's staying up an extra 30 minutes in the night, it's staying up an extra 30 minutes in the night. If it's kind of skipping, hanging out with your friends for an hour or leaving early to do a test, like you need to find ways to prioritize your time and find extra little time slots to put in extra effort. So I get to school pretty early in the morning and I have like 30 or 40 minutes to kill. So those mornings I would just sit and I'd take a DECA test or look at some Quizlets, study materials. So just finding little pockets of time. And again, I don't exactly know your schedule, so it's tough to speak on, but the weekends you should definitely be utilizing. I know I like to sit Saturday morning, so I'd get up early on Saturday morning, take a test, and then the rest of the day I had time to do whatever else I needed to do. But keep a routine and a schedule. That way you can hold yourself accountable and you're not telling yourself that you're too busy, even if you have those small pockets that you can use.
I want to show you one last thing before we are done here. It's something that Rishabh, like, I liked having Rishabh last year as a student, besides the fact that he's a great young man. He's doing amazing things. But I got to ask him every day, hey, what about this? Hey, what about this? There's a website, an AI website that I like. It's put out by Google. It's called Notebook LM. The Notebook LM feature allows you to, on the left-hand side of the screen, add sources that you want to add. So on the back of that DECA test, there are websites. So you can click and add a website and paste the URL. If it's a PDF or something, you can add all the different sources. So what I did with Rishabh last year is I took any question that he got wrong more than once, and I found the source. And once I put all the sources in, then over here on the right-hand side, there's a lot of things that you can do. And this feature honestly just opened up in the past couple of weeks. You can ask it to make you a quiz, and all the things that you have selected on the left-hand side, it'll make you a quiz based on all those sources. And when you do that, it just makes a quiz. Now, is it going to be perfect DECA questions? Maybe not. It allows you to take the quiz right here in this app or right here in this website. Again, the website is called Notebook LM. It's a Google-based thing. It's made so you can dump a whole lot of sources in and have it do a lot of things for you. So the fact that you can take, if you know what your weaknesses are, put them into this thing and allow it to make you business style questions. And I shared that with Rishabh probably about 2 weeks, maybe before ICDC. And just that alone, like, really got him to focus on some specific things so that he could just get that extra edge, and might have boosted his score another point or two or three at ICDC. But going from a 79 to, an 89 to a 92 is a big, big win to get you to the DECA stage. So again, you have to build a base. You have to understand which questions you're getting right or wrong to be able to do that. But once you understand what you're getting right or wrong, someone put into the chat, should I just go to Quizlet? Yes, you can, but that's general. Should I just go to Cluster Max? Yes, you can, and that does sort of adapt to you, but you want to do that after you know what you're already good or not good at. And then Notebook LM is another example of a thing that you can use that should help you kind of manage what you're doing well.
Jared asked how he should study specific areas. And again, I think the best way of doing that is finding the performance indicators of your event, going through, try yourself to give an explanation. And if you can't, then that means you need to work on it because you don't have enough knowledge of that certain area.
Where do you find the sources for your performance indicators? So Rishabh, are you okay just sticking around for a little bit longer yet?
Yeah, scroll down to the bottom. It gives you sources and links. So like if you grab this link right here, the Investopedia one, it takes you right to the article. And DECA does reuse the same sources. So you can go through, study the website and what it said. And that's just, again, you just find that at the bottom of the exam in the answer key.
Sully had asked a question, Rishabh, and we'll cut it here in a minute. But Rishabh, Sully had asked, what's your strategy when you take a test officially? Like, do you skip over questions when you don't know and come back to them? Or what's that look like when you sit at ICDC and take a test?
That's a great question. And knowing the strategy is important. So yes, I do skip over the questions I don't know. Because there's no point in sitting there. You can think about it all you want, but you're wasting time, and it is a time test. Skip the questions. I circle them. That way I know that I didn't answer them. Go through the test, answer all the questions you're comfortable with. And you might actually run into you might find that by answering questions, you figure out the questions you skipped over. So it helps a lot. So I definitely say skip the questions and come back.
Everybody, thanks so much for jumping in today. Look, if this helps you a little bit on your DECA success journey, just being able to hear from somebody like Rishabh who's done it, who's put in that hard work, maybe offer a couple of other bits of advice that you haven't otherwise heard. That's why I like doing this. I started putting stuff out on YouTube so that not just folks in my chapter or folks in Pennsylvania could grow and get better at DECA, but so all of us can. Again, Rishabh, thank you. Good luck everyone this year. Rishabh, do you have any last words before we sign off and we say goodbye to see everybody in Atlanta?
Yeah, just first, thank you so much for having me. And it is awesome that you guys took the initiative to come and watch this. I hope it helped. And good luck to you guys. I hope you see you all place at ICDC.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for jumping in on Thursday. Good luck. And I can't wait to see you guys in Atlanta this coming year.